Okay. All right. Welcome this afternoon to the June edition of our Tech Break. Today, we're very happy to have Jeff Bazer here with Vispero, which is formerly Freedom Scientific. Is that correct, Jeff?
Well, it's still Freedom Scientific, Vispero being the parent company over lots of
Gotcha.
companies.
Gotcha. Okay. And he's going to do a presentation for us today about using JAWS with Microsoft Edge. And thanks to all of you for joining. And we'll do a Q&A at the end. Jeff, you can take it away, and I'll give you a 2 or 3 minute warning.
Okay, well, thanks, guys. Good
All right.
afternoon. Great to be here. And I know we'll do some questions at the end, but feel free if you have one while I'm, moving through here to ask that as well. We have a small enough group. So I just want to give you just a very brief history. Hope you'll deal with that just for a second on Microsoft Edge and JAWS, because you guys might be familiar with this is the second time around for Microsoft and Microsoft Edge. So the first iteration really wasn't too popular, and a lot of people used Internet Explorer for years and maybe other browsers as well. But by the time Microsoft Edge the second time around, it really has made a difference. And much like Google Chrome, which was already, being used and utilized by a lot of folks with screen readers, Microsoft Edge is Chromium based as well. So really, there's not going to be a ton of difference between those two browsers. And one of the nice things is that JAWS was working very well with Google Chrome before Microsoft Edge, the Chromium based version, the one that's out now, came out. So, we had a chance to kind of get on the ground floor of being able to develop right along with Microsoft and what they were doing to make JAWS work very well with this new browser. And it's amazing, guys, because this has been out now for a couple of years. I think it's going on 2.5 years. If I remember right, it was January 2019 when the second Edge, Chromium-based Edge, was released. And this gives me just a quick second to let you guys know how important it is to ensure that all of your assistive technology, so not just JAWS for Windows now and Zoom Text and Fusion, our stuff, but all of what you're using, that you keep it up to date, most current updates as much as you can. If that's at all feasible for you, affordable, that kind of thing, you can get into the maintenance program with us to make sure that you get the latest and greatest version of our software when available. Now, why do I say that? Because you all might be thinking, oh, that's the JAWS guy talking. Of course, he's going to want us to be current. But it's a little more important than that. And I say that because Edge here came out in the middle of the 2019 release cycle. So if you had just updated to version 2019, but were not continuing to get the updates, that we put out, and we do these now, geez, it seems to be about every 6 to 8 weeks. So you first get the upgrade, which is the major release that we do each year, usually in October, and we're on version 2021 now. But then within that release schedule, there are subsequent updates as well. And what happened with Microsoft Edge is it came out in the middle of the 2019 cycle. So you actually had to update to your 2019 to make JAWS work with Edge. And that's why I say that, because throughout the pandemic and that kind of thing, we've added a lot of features around platforms like Zoom. We've done a ton with Microsoft Teams, and I know we're getting off track just a little bit here, but I just want to make sure you guys understand why this is so important, to make sure that you stay updated, because we've added additional features within browsers as well. In fact, when you first used Microsoft Edge, we didn't have the ability to copy and paste. Now that might seem like a very basic thing, right? Control A for your select all, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, or selecting individual text on the page. Well, now we do, of course. That was not the case for very long, but the first few months that Edge was out, you could not copy and paste. And then again, in a subsequent update, we put that ability in there as well. That's something that has come to be expected to use on any web browser, and we needed to get that in there immediately. So, but now, if you're going to use Microsoft Edge, again, like I mentioned before, this is going to feel very similar to what you would find on Google Chrome use of web pages. So all of your hotkeys for headings, for example, for non-linked text, bringing up links list on web pages, all of those things you've been able to do with your assistive technology for years and years, of course, work with Microsoft Edge too. One of the things that we've tried to do when there's a new web browser that's available that we work with is to make sure that it feels much like any other web browser does with JAWS, Zoom Text and Fusion. That's something that we're pretty passionate about, is that we want to make it work like your experience has been with other web browsers. So when you moved from Internet Explorer, for example, into say Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or Firefox for that matter, that it felt much the same. You used the same hotkeys, things worked the same way that you would come to expect when you're browsing on the web. I heard a ding. Somebody new came in. Do you guys want to check that, or should I just keep going?
Yeah, it's Gene Moody. He's our manager of our IT department here at the Lighthouse. So welcome, Gene. You can carry on.
Okay. All right. Very good. So with that being said, and I think you guys probably understand what I'm talking about as far as updating goes and use. I'm going to share my screen.
Meeting controls.
Because what I want to do is, are we? Wait a minute. Are we sharing? Can you guys hear JAWS?
Stop share all button.
Yes.
Oh, you guys can hear that. All right, very good. Sometimes Zoom does some funny things where you don't quite realize what's going on. I had my my focus on the share screen button, but I hadn't pressed it yet, and now we have. So I need to slow this down first of all.
Slower.
That's one of the things that us AT people forget about sometimes, is that we got to slow our speech down a little bit. One of the things that I want to mention to you about Edge, and Chrome has done a similar thing now, is having to do with favorites. It is a lot easier now to find places you've been on the web in the past. What these new browsers do is they'll save from your history. So when you begin to type in a web address, if you've been there before, it's going to try to auto-populate and make sure that it brings up what it thinks you're looking for. So sometimes it's not as important now to worry about saving every website you've been to that you like in your favorites, because it's a lot easier to get back to these sites now with these newer browsers than it used to be, where you used to have to type in the entire address and you got no help. But much like Outlook now, if you guys are using all of the Office 365, programs, where Outlook will try to auto-populate when you type in the email address, the person that you're trying to email to, same thing occurs on the web too. So I'm going to bring this up here now.
Search box edit.
I went to my search box with Windows 10. I'm just going to type ED.
Microsoft Edge. Microsoft recommended browser. Press right to switch preview.
And you hear that it says Microsoft is the recommended, or Edge is the recommended browser. It's funny how they put that in there. Let me press enter.
Removed from toolbar.
So what happens now is when I press enter, I am at the address bar and ready to type in. And let me see if I can just give you an example of how this auto-populate works. There's a weather site that I go to quite often, and I think I just have to press W for that.
Text-based forecasts weather. GovCTP PEMA forecasts location.
So that's all that happened. So all I did was just hit the W, and it tells me that, oh, I think you want to go to the weather site. So that's a really nice feature. Now you can always hit Control-Shift-O, I believe is the keystroke, that's going to bring up your favorites list when you have the browser open. So much like maybe you've done in the past, if you want to add favorites in anyway to make sure that you keep a running list of sites that you visit, you can still do that much like you have before, with other browsers. Now, if I take this W out of here,
blank.
One of the things that I did earlier today was I checked on some news in Tyler, and it appears you guys had a very busy weather day there yesterday. A tornado was spotted close to Tyler.
Yeah, we had to shelter for about 15 minutes.
That's pretty crazy. Wow. Well, I certainly hope everybody was okay.
Yeah.
But if I just type TY into the browser now, and I'm just going to try this.
Tyler, Texas News selected.
Tyler, Texas News. That's what I typed into Google earlier today. I'll
Loading
press
page.
enter.
HTTPS www.google.com search Q equals Tyler, Texas News.
All right.
Virtual.
And we heard a couple of things happen there. It began to tell us our address. You guys heard the forms mode command. So I brought it up on Google. So of course it brings me to the search box, the first thing. And that's like you would expect for most web pages, is that it's going to, bring you in, if you're on the browser anyway, the search engine, it's going to bring you to the search box. Let me just use my H for headings here and look at a couple of things.
Search modes heading level. Search web results KLTV heading level 3 link.
Okay, there's KLTV. I'm moving down, pressing H for heading.
Top stories heading level 2. NWS confirms tornado in Tyler heading level 3 link.
There we go. We've got that.
Smith County grand jury indicts 3 men accused of robbing Tyler convenience store heading level 3
Got
link.
it. So we're just pressing H to move through our list of headings on Google search results like we would in any web browser. And I can use Shift H to go back.
NWS confirms top stories heading level 2.
Just like that. If I need to bring up a links list with insert F7, I can certainly do that.
Links list dialog. Links list view. East Texas now 13 of 95.
Okay, these are basic things, I know, but I just want to make sure you guys understand that working in Edge works the exact same way that it's going to work in any other browser.
Tyler.
Now, I want to show you one pretty unique feature that I found. There's two actually that I want to talk about. I hope I'm not going to run out of time. I could talk forever, guys, so you're going to have to tell me to be quiet. Let me go to the search box here real fast.
Search edit combo. Tyler, Texas.
I know I've got Tyler, Texas in here, but I want to type soccer.
Tango.
Because I found a
loading page. Search edit combo soccer Tyler, Texas News. Loading complete. Page has 5 regions, 19 headings, and 48.
So now I have soccer Tyler, Texas News. And there was one item on here that I found that I thought was pretty cool as a result of what happened with the tornado yesterday. So I want to find soccer now. So I'm just, to save time, I'm just going to do a virtual find for soccer and go to the story.
Search edit combo soccer Tyler.
Well, hang on.
Visited heading level 3 link tornado forces Tyler soccer camp to take shelter in restroom.
So, and that's a visited link, by the way, because I was there earlier. Press enter.
Main region tornado forces Tyler soccer camp to take shelter in restroom. www.
All right, so we're bringing up the page here right now. One of the things that you might hear if you've worked in Microsoft Edge at all so far is something called Immersive Reader Available. This is a read out loud feature that Microsoft Edge has built into the browser so that you can skip some of the clutter on these web pages and hopefully get a little closer to getting to your story quicker that you actually want. Because if you've looked on the web and tried to read the news, we all know that some pages are much more cluttered than others. They might have, several stories on them and only a little area where the text of the story is that you're looking for. That becomes pretty tough. So now Edge has tried to help with that by putting in this immersive reader, and you can hit a keystroke and actually listen to a voice. And this is not JAWS, by the way. This is just built into Edge, but I thought it was pretty neat, and I just want to show this to you. So I'm going to press Control-Shift-U now, and it's still going to read a few things here.
Tornado
forces Tyler soccer camp to take shelter in restroom.
But I still think this is going to work better.
Gracie Beasley was at Lindsay Park for soccer when she was advised to take shelter. KLTV.
There we go.
By Lexi Vanetti. Published June 8, 2021 at 7:15 p.m. EDT. Updated 20 hours ago. Share on Facebook.
Still going to go through these share links.
Email this link.
Once it does this, it's going to read the story.
Share on Pinterest. Share on LinkedIn. Tyler, Texas, KLTV. Around 25 children were participating in a soccer camp Tuesday morning at Tyler's Lindsay Park when everyone was told to get indoors and take shelter. I was like, am I going to survive a tornado? It's scary, said Gracie Beasley, a soccer player who was on the field. I was playing soccer and all of a sudden it started raining, and we had to go underneath the pavilion.
All right, so we won't read the whole thing, but you guys get the idea there. That's a pretty nice human-sounding voice there, that female, isn't it? What do you guys think of that?
Yep. What was that, hockey?
It's Control-Shift-U.
And can you do that from anywhere on the page, or do you have to be on the article itself?
No, you can do that from anywhere on the page. So where I was I was at the top, and I just pressed the keystroke. Now, what you have to listen for with Edge is you've got to make sure the page says that immersive reader available. But on many news sites, And I believe that it's set up for exactly what we're using it for, and that is to avoid the clutter and the advertisements and things like that that we find on so many web pages. So it's pretty neat. I've tried it in various places, and it works. And here on the Tyler newspaper, it works. So a nice little feature, Control Shift U. You guys can try that as you're looking around at some news sites or TV sites using Microsoft Edge. What time is it here?
3:24 p.m.
Okay. One of the last things that I wanted to tell you guys, and then we can ask questions, and you know, I'll go as long as you want. But one of the things that's new, and this is not necessarily Edge specific, but one of the things that's going on now is that Gmail, for example, and YouTube and some sites like this are adding hotkeys that are available on the sites themselves. So the sites are programming the keys available. And the way that we're working with this with JAWS, that we're turning off the virtual PC cursor, and that's how we can take advantage of utilizing these hotkeys to get around the web. The best example that I can give you of this is on Gmail. And we've got some webinars, guys, that we have produced that go into this a little bit further. We did this where we're using Gmail with the standard view rather than the basic HTML view, which is the one that I've used for, geez, I think 11 years that I had a Gmail account. But this is a new way to do it. Does anybody have any experience with this? Anybody know what I'm talking about?
I mean,
No?
I've used Gmail on the internet, but I've never done it this way.
You've never done it this way. Okay. All right. Let me bring this up real fast and
App bar toolbar,
just
address
give
and
you
search.
guys an idea here of
Inbox
what this
27
looks
uploading page. HTTPS Gmail.com selected. Gmail Microsoft Edge. Gmail.
All
Gmail
right.
for
So here we
virtual
are.
enable inbox 27,000.
So as you can tell, I got a whole bunch of email on here. But
Page has 1 frame, 8 regions, 7 headings, and 124
all right,
links.
so it brought the page up, so we know we're there. Now, because I know how to do this, and I'm on the Gmail page, if I turn the virtual cursor off with an insert Z now,
Use virtual PC cursor
what's going to
off.
happen here now is I'm still going to be able to get around the page because Google has built this page for this kind of ability with these hotkeys. So the first thing that happens is
Main read unread. See
you can scroll down your email list much like you'd be able to do with Outlook. So I'm just using my arrow keys now, hitting my down arrow. Listen to this.
unread. Next door. Your one-time sign-in code.
And
11:08
do it
a.m.
again.
Unread. Chewy. Com. Your
Ooh, I
package
got
has
my
been
dog
delivered.
food today.
Unread. Next door.
Next
Welcome
door.
to Timmins.
I was playing
Unread.
with that. But I just want you to hear how responsive this is.
Crazy. I love it.
Yeah. So if I hit my down arrow again,
Unread.
hit it again.
Unread.
again.
All access. Unread. Savannah Anderson V.
So you guys here, I mean, this isn't messing around. I mean, we're moving through here pretty quickly, and we're able to look at our email in that respect. Now, when you need to read a message, that still takes a little bit more. You got to press enter, you turn your virtual cursor back on, and then you get down to the message like you normally do. But there's very quick ways to move through here by looking at your messages, deleting messages, moving things around. There's a lot of ability in here, and we did a webinar that shows you how this works. So if you guys remember this web address, freedomscientific.com/training, and then you can find archived webinars near the bottom of the page there. And if you press enter on that link, archived webinars, you will find about, the last time I looked, there was like 66 of them up there. And we've got them on all different kinds of subjects. But one of them is using JAWS Zoom Text Fusion with Gmail in standard view. And that will take you through exactly how to do this on the web.
Wow.
Okay. So
Yeah, I mean, they
that's
didn't
just-
make it the easiest to use, but I mean, Google didn't, but I could see how this would really help.
yeah, they didn't at first. That's
Right.
exactly right. But I got to tell you, between all of the webmail services out there, I found Gmail's in basic HTML view to be the best just for getting around with. But now that they've got this capability in there, it works even a little better, which is really kind of nice.
Has it made the calendar better?
The Outlook calendar or the Google calendar?
The Gmail calendar.
The Gmail calendar, yeah. I don't know as much about that. I'm pretty sure that there's a webinar that we did up there on the calendar as well. We did them on Google Docs. We did them on a number of the Google suite of applications, as well as Microsoft as well, and Microsoft Teams. So if you guys are having to use Teams, we talked about the calendar inside Teams and how it works exactly and syncs with the Outlook calendar. But as far as the Google Calendar goes, I'm pretty sure we tackled that one as well. I'd have to go look and see. But the bottom line with Edge, guys, is if anybody is fearful of trying it out or making a transition to it or anything like that, I can certainly tell you, I don't think you have anything to worry about. This is going to feel like Internet Explorer for the most part, and Google Chrome if you've used that. There's a whole menu that you can access by just pressing Alt, where that's how you're going to get to the settings and, moving through all the various customizations that you can do, because there are a lot. But from a basic standpoint, from what I showed you here today, this is what Edge looks like on any web page, and it's definitely going to be a minimal learning curve for you guys to get in there and use that.
I think it's pretty awesome. I'm not even a JAWS user, but I think that's amazing. Yeah. Do you have anything else to present? We got a couple of minutes, or we can start taking questions. Well, it's 2:30. We've gone about 15, 20 minutes. So.
Yeah, those were the main points that I wanted to show you in the time that we had. I think the biggest thing to remember, guys, is that, a lot of people get really nervous about, well, if I switch web browsers, I got to worry about bringing my favorites in because I want to make sure that I can still access all of those sites. And initially, even if you did not import them from another browser here, that would take a little bit of time. But just remember, once you've been to a site one time, it's going to try to remember that for you and auto-populate as you type to get you back to that site very quickly. And you guys saw that with both the weather example that I showed you, and then with the Tyler News. I had just typed Tyler News into Google here today, but as soon as I started, typing TUY, boom, it populated it, and there it was. So that's one of the really nice things I think that they've done in the browsers now that make them a lot easier to get around on the web.
Sure. Jen, do we have any questions in the chat to start with?
Oh. I'm going to ask you to unshare your screen.
Oh, I apologize. Let me do that.
While Miss Jan's looking at that, I did have a question.
Go ahead, Bo.
So I've always avoided Edge because it did not work in the first iteration of it. So
yes, sir.
I don't have really any experience in it. So, I mean, what would you say are still some of the challenges that we're still facing as a JAWS user with Edge?
I got to be honest with you. I can't think of any. Okay. It's totally different than the first iteration. You're absolutely right on that first iteration, which is why they tore it down and rebuilt it from the ground up, Chromium based. What do you use now?
I use JAWS 2021.
Right. Which browser?
Oh, Chrome. Yeah, Chrome.
Okay. If you're using Chrome now, you're going to love this thing. It's snappy. Okay. It's fast. It's pretty awesome. And I think that you'll discover that it feels exactly like Chrome.
That's good, because a lot of my clients, they get a Windows 10. This is the default internet browser. So really, this is the one that I would prefer to use because it's the one that's Microsoft pulls up automatically. So it's nice to know that now it's working better.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you should be just fine.
Okay.
Cool.
Anybody else have a question?
I can contribute one thing to that. Since the Chromium base is open source and it forks and Microsoft has built their version, Google has built their version, there is one caveat to Edge. Certainly doesn't discount anything that you said here, but Microsoft updates Edge the second Tuesday of every month. Google updates it every time an exploit is found, patched, and goes through the Chromium stream. So that is a valid concern when you worry about surfing the web on a daily basis. Chrome does receive security updates from the Chromium base faster than Edge does.
And to be fair completely as well, I need to take that back just a little bit, because there are some sites that you will go to where you may get a bit of a different result using Chrome versus Edge or vice versa. So if you are using one or the other and you don't think you're seeing exactly what you should be, or something's not working, for example, in JAWS, maybe a button or something like that, definitely it could certainly help to go back and try Chrome to find out what's going on and see if you get the same result. Usually when I've done that, they've worked very, very similarly, but there has been a couple of instances where Chrome has shown me something that Edge hasn't, and vice versa.
Okay.
But as far as hotkeys go, as far as moving around a page, as far as utilizing forms mode, anything you do from a screen reader standpoint with JAWS is going to work the same way as Chrome.
Great. Next question, anyone? Jan, is there any chat at all?
No chat. I think people have been asking questions as they had them.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
I have one final one.
Go ahead,
Can
sir.
you give us any sneak peeks into JAWS or Fusion 2022?
Well,
Yeah.
no, I can't yet,
Okay.
because
Okay.
I really don't know. But let me do this. There's a couple things that you guys that are fairly new in this very last update of 2021 that came out just a couple of weeks ago. I was going to mention this to you guys and I forgot. Does everybody use Outlook here
Yes.
with Office
Yeah.
365? Okay. One of the things that you need to try, we've added a new feature in email threads. So when you open a message, if you have a long string of messages to make a long thread there, if you press the letter N for, it used to be for non-linked text on the web, right? Well, now in this case, it's for next message. So you can be reading along and you're like, I just don't need to hear any more in this message. And I certainly don't want to hear the signature information at the end and all the headers going to the next message. N will move you to the text of the next message immediately. It will read who the message is from and the time and date you got it, but then it begins reading the text of the message instantly. So it's a very quick way for you to skip through a thread of messages as rapidly as possible without having to touch your arrow keys at all. You just press N, which moves you to the next message. If you need to go back, you press Shift N, and it will take you backwards through the thread. It's pretty phenomenal and pretty powerful the way it works. And really, it's what I like best about it. It's one thing to be able to just say, oh, well, I'm done with this message and I want to move to the next one and read the text. But you also need to know who that message is from and when it was sent. And so that's where the scripting ability or the development side of JAWS really becomes very powerful, because we know you need that information. So it does read that to you, but then it moves on and reads the text of the message right away. You can do it from within a say all. So you can just fly through them, or you can do it, if you're just arrowing through the message.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, listen, it's about time, guys, to wrap it up. But Jeff, I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing. You showed us some pretty fascinating things. I heard some JAWS users doing some wow stuff. So I know that what you showed us is real meaningful, and like Bo mentioned, it's going to help him with his clients and all of that. So that's what this is all about: getting information out there that we may not know about or we may not be up to date on. And so we really appreciate you doing that, and love to have you back at some point if you're willing to be part of this again to discuss other things or expound more on this. Sounds like there's a lot more you could talk about on this as well. So
absolutely, you guys just let me know. I'm happy to come back anytime. And if you need to contact me at all, if you have other questions or you think of other things that hey, I'd like to ask that Vispero guy that. If you don't call Bobby or don't email him, because you can certainly do that too. But otherwise, my email is jbazer, JBAZER @vispero.com, VISPERO.com.
yeah.
And my extension is 1122 off of the main 800 number.
Yeah. And he will respond to your emails. I can verify that. So.
And when you do have a sneak peek for the next version, contact us and we will get you back on.
That sounds good. Well, you guys know the national shows are coming up, the NFB and ACB, and that's usually where we start teasing that kind of stuff. So we should be knowing
well,
soon.
You know,
Right.
we
Okay.
just think we're special.
That's right. That's right. Well, you guys are.
Hey,
But we'll do it again.
Leave it at this, Jeff. If you have information you want to share with us, you email me and we'll get you back on here.
That sounds great, guys. Very good. I'll do it.
Thanks a lot. Thanks everybody
Thank
for
you.
joining the June Tech Break. And we appreciate all the information, all the great questions, and we'll see you guys again in July.
Take
Okay,
care.
look forward
Bye-bye.
to it.
Bye.
Bye.